Another rule that you could use with moving average lines is I guess the moving average rule is what it's called. It's an alternative to the more popular crossover rule. So you're not looking for when it crosses over, you're basically looking for when the moving average starts to bend or change. So you would look at it to call an end to a trend when you have changes in actually the moving average line. Instead of uptrending or downtrending, it's starting to make that change either way. So if there's an uptrend, if the moving average is less than today's moving average is less than yesterday's, you could start calling an end to an uptrend with that. And the opposite, of course, would be in a downtrend. It's been downtrending if the moving average today is higher than yesterday. So you're basically your most recent data point, and then looking at your overall trend. And so the advantage of this is you're not looking at crossovers, you're just strictly looking at the moving average line over the period of time. And it helps as far as you can call an end to a trend faster than with the crossover rule. Moving averages always are a lagging indicator, but you're able to kind of see where that change is occurring on the line as opposed to waiting for crossovers and prices is what you're looking to do. It still suffers from lag, it still suffers from whipsaws, but it is an alternative, and you can use some of these filters we talked about as well to establish filters or rules around that as far as using this without the crossover of the price, but looking at when basically when the moving average itself starts making some changes. If we looked at this graphically, you could see here, you can see how it's kind of in this curve, right? It's this particular moving average. They can look different than this, but as you look along the curved line, you can see as it starts to flatten out over time, you can see that's when the moving average is starting to change. And you can see up in the upper left there what's a 50-day moving average, and the moving average is at $138.95 in this example. So when you start seeing things that are coming up less than that, then that might signal a change in that upward trend that we're generally seeing with this thing. If we start seeing that number going down, that might show a downtrend there. And as you can see, depending on the length of time here in this graphic that you choose, you have a 50-day moving average and a 200-day moving average. And of course, the longer the time period, the prices will differ too. But if you look at the curves, you can see where the top line at the far right, you might see it more of a downward trend on the far right of the blue, where the right is actually starting to trend upward, a little bit of an upward trend as they start to move towards each other. And so that's kind of giving you kind of conflicting messages, right? And that can happen. So, that time frame length can really impact that. The more time you have, the more the decision would be delayed as far as making a change. And you want to take that in consideration. And again, you can use this with other filters. You can use this with other indicators to decide what you want to do. Personally, I like the crossover rule. It's much more established, and also it just seems to be easier to comprehend, easier to see too, than just But if you want to look at something where it might indicate the trend is changing sooner, you can use this moving average and just look at the moving average itself and not really looking at the prices.